She's the founder of Christlike Events and Spread the Kingdom Inc. and recently made it to the cypher round of Rhythm and Flow Season 2 on Netflix. Please welcome Mizzy to the podcast. How are you doing today?
Hey, doing well. Okay. I'm doing really
Yeah.
good. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. We've already been talking a bit off camera and off the air about it, but I'm really excited to get into you, your music, and your experience a bit on Rhythm and Flow on this on this latest season of it.
Yeah. Okay.
But the first thing I usually like asking people like to learn a bit more about them as well as their music is what actually like made you want to get into music, or was there any moment that really clicked for you and you were like, okay, this is what I want to do?
Yeah. So originally, I wanted to go to the WNBA. So,
I used to want to
that
go to
was,
the NBA.
yeah, that was my drive. That was my ambition. Going through high school, I sleep, eat, whatever basketball, right?
Yeah.
And just life kind of happened. Around my senior year, and I was just kind of in and out. Wasn't really good mentally. A lot of things had
Hmm.
happened. And so music, like I've always wrote poems for the people that I used to have, my little situations with, or like I would freestyle on the bus, that
Yeah.
kind of thing. So it was one time where my homeboy, he had like a little studio set up in his closet at his crib. So I was like, okay, why not? I get some YouTube beats and just try it out, right?
Yeah.
So we're just recording in his closet. I had recorded my first ever EP actually in his closet. It's called Not From This Matrix. And I started rapping like 2022 when I
Awesome.
graduated. So I just, from there, I just started going to like little karaoke spots and lounges and stuff like that. And I was just performing my songs, and people really liked it. They loved the EP. They loved how different I was. Um, from
Yeah.
what's being shown right now with so yeah, that's how it
Yeah.
started.
That's awesome. I mean, like a lot of people I feel like start from like a fun, like almost like hobby type thing. Like, let me just try this out. Let me do it like hanging out with friends, whatever it is. And
Yeah.
so like with it starting from like a fun place like that, I mean, feel free to share or not share and as much as you want with the mental health stuff, but did it
Yeah.
help that like time of your life at all, or that mental health period?
Yeah, it definitely did help me during that time because I was able to express myself more on my tracks. I
Hmm.
was able to go out there and perform, and just seeing how my songs resonated with people as well and what they were going through. And so that's what really sparked like that. Okay, like I want to continue to keep, doing this, right? Because
Yeah.
it's my music is helping people in some sort of way, right? So, yeah, first I was a little bit like, oh, I don't know, because I don't want to just be another rapper. You feel me?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it's a lot of
You
everybody
gotta
in their
have
mom want
something
to be
different that sets you apart.
right. Everybody and their mom want to be a rapper nowadays. You know what I'm saying? But like, I really want to showcase me, and I want to be proud of what I put out there. I don't want to regret anything. So I want to just at least try my very best to make an impact.
Yeah, which is I think like one of the best things of music, like the positive impact that it has, and how
Yeah.
we start like really resonating and relating to all these artists and bands that we listen to. But once you started, like the name Mizzy, is that like a nickname you've had throughout life, or where does that name come from, and what made you want to use that as like an artist name?
Yeah, so that name came during my childhood, like around middle school days when I used to dress like really like tomboyish.
Hmm.
I was in that lifestyle, so that name came along with it. And
Awesome.
so I mean, people have always called me Mizzy since
Yeah.
then. Like
Yeah.
it just came on. There's no like real like significant reason behind the name for real. It just came.
And that's totally fine. Yeah, and it probably helps be a bit more natural now that people call you Mizzy. Like you're
Right.
used to hearing it and things like that. It's not like a new thing that you had to create. And
Yeah.
so, getting into a little bit the being on Rhythm and Flow, being on season 2, what was it like getting on like the audition stage, or like the first time you were on stage in front of the judges, Ludacris, Latto, and DJ Khaled?
Ooh. Man, let me tell you, like, uh, I'm getting nervous right now.
Well, especially because like you mentioned starting in 2022, like I feel like
Yeah,
that's a relatively new rapper, and so you've really in like 2 years gone from starting to rap to like in a room with some of the biggest names in rap.
right. Exactly. I really enjoyed the experience. Like, it made me feel like, yeah, like this is what I want. This is what I want to continue to grow towards, and this is what I want to be in. It's the atmosphere, I want to be in. Going onto that stage, man, like it was just like, wow. Like I felt like I made it to be on a big platform like that in front of, people that been in the industry for a long, long time. My
Yeah,
nerves didn't really come from them judging me. It was just the fact that I'm on Netflix. I'm on a
the
huge
scale of it,
platform.
yeah.
Yeah, that's going to continue to, you know, be on
Yeah,
there
that
forever. So
it's there forever now. Yeah,
yeah, so that's really where the pressure came in,
yeah,
just making sure I'm represented correctly on a platform like that. Yeah.
yeah. And so I think I heard that you guys filmed like back in February for the show.
Yeah.
Just recently came out in November, or started coming out with like the different sets of episodes and whatnot. What was that time period like? Like you know you're gonna be on Netflix and waiting almost a year really for it to like come out and waiting that long.
Man, I didn't expect for the editing process to be that long, honestly.
Yeah.
You know, but going into it, I feel like I could have prepared a little more for it.
Hmm.
I was trying not to compare it to season one on how they were going to do the challenges, but ended up being like that anyway. So for me, I was like, man, I wish I could have had a couple bars prepared, 16 or 12 just in my
Yeah.
back pocket, just in case, you know what I'm saying? But everything, it was all filmed in 1 month, literally.
Okay.
So we didn't have a lot of time to prepare. We didn't have a lot of time to like remember our lyrics. So that's why you see a lot of us messing up throughout the
Yeah.
show because we're not used to having something prepared like that. And then like 12 hours later, we
Yeah, I was
have to
gonna say,
perform.
especially in
You know
like
what I'm
the
saying?
later stages when it's like
Right.
24 hours, 48 hours, and you have to go
Yeah,
from like new idea to performing it.
exactly. Exactly. So, um, I mean, that was the only thing, but I enjoyed it because yeah, it is a competition at the end of the day, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. And then we talked about it before recording, but really one of the main things that made me want to invite you on here and talk to you, get to know you, was during the ciphers round, coming out like dressed in a granny outfit, and just the confidence you had, and like when you walked in, you got some like definitely some glances and questions from the judges, but you stayed, you were ready. You stood up there, you did your thing, and I was wondering like with their almost like confusion around it, did that
yeah.
throw off your performance at all, or did you have like just internal confidence being like I got this, I got this, let's go.
I had to have internal confidence at that moment because um the thing and just the background behind why I wore the outfit in the first place, because I'm a
Hmm.
storyteller, right? So I wanted to imitate
Yeah.
my mother, right? And I didn't execute correctly as far as like lyrics wise. I didn't really showcase, that. And it really
Yeah.
was a last minute idea, right? But I think my biggest thing whenever I was out there was to at least execute my bars. Execute, you know what I'm saying? Like still make that statement, you
Yeah.
know. 'Cause I don't really care what people think. This is how I am as an artist. And that's actually how they scouted me. They scouted me performing in my oldest freestyle when I was dressed
Awesome.
as a granny. Right. So
Yeah.
they like that originality. That's why I even got placed on the show to begin with. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
it's
uh,
the it's the originality, and like you said, the storytelling, like that's
yeah,
a huge thing in rap and hip hop, in any style. And so like
right.
just it's just we every rap song, at least in my opinion, should have some kind of like story or have
Yeah,
some meaning like that, and you're just kind of trying to transfer that to like a physical appearance or a physical
right.
outfit. Hey, it's Heroek, and this episode is sponsored by me. Well, kind of. If you don't know, I recently started a clothing line called Quest Clothing, which you can shop right now. I'll leave some pictures here on the screen, but we got the core collection, which is just this sleek black and white design on a bunch of products. And then we also have some more like merch style stuff with cover arts for my songs and things like that. I've been wanting to do this for a long time, and I'm really excited that I now have it. And so expect a lot more collections, a lot more designs coming out soon. I'll leave a link to it down below, and if you want to stay up to date with any new releases or anything like that, follow at Shop Quest Clothing on Instagram. So go get cool designs like this, or even this, and you'll be helping me support all of this, the podcast, the music, everything. Plus, it just looks cool. We even got this nice big letter design on the back. Look at that. Look how cool that looks. So head to the link in the description to get yourself some Quest clothing, and make sure to follow at Shop Quest Clothing on Instagram for updates with new collections and stuff like that. And now back to the episode. The scouting, like they scouted you from an old mixtape. What was the scouting process like, or how did they, as far as you know, like comb through artists to put them in the show?
So I just got a simple DM and was
Awesome.
like, hey, I know, right? Just randomly, it was a random day. I don't know what I was doing. I was probably chilling, laying back, didn't expect anything. Random day, like, and I received the DM, and at first I'm kind of like, like, is
I feel
this
like when it's something like that, you're like, is this real? Like
yeah,
it
like
can't
is this
be.
like right? Is this some type of scam? Because they didn't come out and say like, "Hey, we want you on Rhythm and Flow season 2." They was like, "Hey,
Hmm.
we're having this untitled rap competition show." All right.
From what
And,
I've heard with Netflix in general, they're always like super secretive with whatever they're doing.
right,
They don't want anything getting out.
right. Well, which they don't want it to be displayed out to the public yet, right?
Yeah,
Which is understandable. So, I was a little confused at first, and I received the call and got more clarity. Okay, oh, this is what it is.
it's
Awesome.
real.
Okay, yeah, this is legit. Like getting that call from California. Okay, like this is the real deal. So, I mean, from there, the audition process was a few months. It was.
Okay. Well,
Um, they were interested in me. Then they told me to go to a hotel, the Marriott downtown Houston. I went there. I had to perform. I had to give them my story. They go based on who has the sadder story, right? And just personality stuff like that. So I had to go through that as well. And then they were just. I'm sure it was a lot of people. They
yeah,
were getting in touch with, and it was also some people applying as well. Like they had it where if you knew who you knew, you could have applied, right? Like,
yeah, yeah.
but for me though, I was scouted.
Awesome, awesome. That's like almost a separate category, or like another level of it. Like getting getting sought out like that, or them finding you rather than like trying to put yourself out there for them is
Right.
awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you mention, are you based in Houston normally?
Yes.
Awesome, awesome. I just took like I was there from Wednesday and then came back last night to New York where I live, and so I was just visiting Houston for a while.
Okay.
I
What
have
you were
some
doing
family
down
there.
here?
Yeah, yeah. I should have like I guess I didn't realize that you were based in Houston. Yeah, we should have connected.
Yeah.
But going forward from the show, like, were there any? I mean, as quick as the process is, like, you're all kind of seeing each other each day on the show, like the contestants and whatnot. Are there any contestants or anyone you met on the show that like you've stayed close with since then and like kept in contact with?
Yeah. I kept in contact with LG. She's fire.
Nice,
Dax and Surali. Like
awesome,
the three,
awesome.
like I
That's
really built a connection with. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great crew. That's a great
Yeah.
crew. You
No,
got
for
some
real.
real
Yeah.
talent there.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, it seems like since starting in 22, it's kind of been like on the up and up for you. Has there been, I guess, similar to basketball, has there been any, whether it's mental health or anything, like any moment that made you question it or like want to take a break, or have you kind of been going steady at it for since starting?
Honestly, I've been up and down, and
Hmm.
truthfully, I just kind of feel like, man, like it was kind of 50-50 with the audience, right? Some people were like, what is she doing? That don't make sense or whatever. And then you had some people like, like you that saw the creativity, loved it, yeah, I didn't execute correctly, but just saw me, and
Yeah.
I just kind of wish that my audition was showed so that could have gave a
Yeah.
little intel to people like, oh, this is who she is. That's how
I
she is.
think
That's how
I
she
think it
raps. You
was
understand?
like you and a
Yeah.
couple artists, like I was watching the show and we got to the ciphers round and they're like, and it's Mizzy, and I was like, who's Mizzy? Like I did not remember the audition at all, and I went back
Right.
and they just like didn't really show it, and so I feel
Right.
like, I mean, I maybe they have their reasons. I don't fully understand not showing an audition of someone who made it to the next
Right.
round, but
Exactly.
and then like showing plenty of auditions of like, had a good audition but didn't move on, and so I don't know. It's up to
Yeah.
them ultimately, but I don't think it makes the most sense.
Right. So yes, I've kind of been up and down like ever since came back from the show. I started getting like heavy spiritual warfare, like
Yeah, which is
financially.
understandable. I mean,
Yeah,
I
you
think
know.
I mentioned this in my email too, but I talked to a couple contestants from the first season who like were saying like after the show came out, like it's just like so much pressure. Like what now, like their following explodes and they go from like the following they had to like doubling, maybe tripling their audience immediately from
Yeah.
everyone from Netflix, and like that's what they know you as. Like they don't know your stuff from before yet. I mean, hopefully they want to become a fan of you and go back to that, but like all they know firsthand is Netflix and rhythm and flow.
Right.
And so in general, like coming up with a new song, what does the creative process look like? Are you still starting with poems most of the time and turning that into music, or how does a new song typically come about for you?
Okay. Well, I just dropped my new song. New single is called We Up. I just
Yeah.
dropped that. Um, as far as the process goes, um, I am coming out with an album. It's called Double Minded. So what I typically do is I just kind of go through beats. I shuffle through beats. Either some producers will send me some beats, and I just I kind of get a feel of what I want, and I'll write down how I'm feeling or what I want to talk about. So this new album is just going to be like my testimony of like my mindset, how I acted before and how I am now, like after Christ, after like giving my life to him. So it's going to really showcase just my beliefs, feelings, everything.
Yeah.
Everything. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And I mean, you mentioned it there. We Up. That's like when I started preparing for this episode, I put that on because it's at now at the top of your Spotify, and I put it
Yeah.
on and just immediately found myself like head bobbing to it. I love the beat and everything, and so just that song in general. What can you tell us about it? Anything you want to say about like the meaning behind it, how it came to be, anything like that?
Yeah. Okay, so We Up. I had met up with a producer. His name is Tim Ned, right? I just hit
Mm-hmm.
him up like, hey, like I want to go through some beats with you. And at first it was for my album, right?
Yeah,
But I met up with him and he was just kind of shuffling through his beats and we just found this one. And now I just started freestyling to it a little bit. I was like, okay, nah, 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 nah. Like we was both, trying to find our sound to the beat.
yeah,
And so he ended up sending me over the beat. And like, I think like 2 weeks later, like I finished the song. Like I already had my hook, I already had my verses and stuff like that. I sent it over to him. He was like, "Oh my gosh, like okay, like what I'm saying, this is a bop."
yeah,
Like
yeah. There's something here.
it, yeah. And so just the meaning really behind the song is like no matter what situation you're in, no matter what circumstance or whatever, like you up. We're up now. Like it's an uplifting song. It's a celebratory song, no matter what religion, no matter what you do. You know what I'm saying? It's to
Yeah,
uplift you. You know what I'm saying? So that was the focus in the goal for that. Like, yeah, this X, Y, and Z may be going on right now, but hey, I'm up. Like we up
yeah.
now.
Well, yeah.
Are you a music artist trying to find a way to get your music on as many streaming platforms as possible? Then check out DistroKid. DistroKid is a super user-friendly and super easy-to-use service that will make your music available in stores like Spotify, Apple Music, iTunes, Amazon Music, YouTube, Snapchat, everything. Everything you could imagine, it's available. People will even be able to add your songs into their Instagram stories. DistroKid helps you with the distribution, monetization, and promotion of all of your music. Use the link in the description of this video for 7% off any DistroKid package you want. Pick from musician packages designed to help artists get their own music out there, or even get a label package where you can manage up to 100 artists from one profile. So that's more for like managers, labels, and you can also get the musician package that I mentioned earlier, which is more for artists, producers, things like that. And super easy, and you can get 7% off any package right now with the link in the description of this video. So once again, if you're looking for a way to get your music on as many streaming platforms as possible, I'm talking any platform you can think of, get DistroKid and get 7% off right now with the link in the description. Back to the program.
You mentioned like what having the thought like this might be for the album and whatnot. How long have you been working on this album, or what was the point that you're like, okay, let me start really trying to get this thing together?
Yeah, I've been working on the album for about 10 to 11 months now.
Awesome.
Um, I feel like what's been slowing me down is just trying to find what I really want for this project because I'm really going to be portraying me.
Yeah.
And it's it you're really going to get a deep dive of like how I think, how I feel, how I move, you know. Um and so I really want the visuals to be on point, you know. I want the beats to be on point, and I just been trying to find like, you know, what works. And also I've been kind of having a little bit of brain fog too with
Yeah.
some of the songs, you know, just having to pull back from the past and kind of put that into the album. And to just like financially as well, to be honest with
I'm
you,
sure.
you know?
Yeah.
Studio time, it costs a lot, you know, having trying to put a project together, it does cost a
Yeah,
whole lot.
making
This is my
music is
first,
not cheap.
yeah, no, and yeah, this is my first album, you know, and so
Yeah.
it really means a lot to me. Like I really want to put my all into this album. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. And so you mentioned like wanting some of the meaning to of it to be like what your life is like
Yeah.
after really delving into religion, and
Yeah.
you're starting on these like event companies around religion, or with like Christian names. I would say. So how much does that religion come into your music now, and how much do you want it to in the future? Like, do you think it's going to be a big focal point of your music going forward?
Yeah, I don't really see it as religion though. I just see it like um I don't know, like when I came to Christ, I came to him. You know,
Okay.
I didn't come to uh just because somebody just because I was
Yeah.
brought up into it,
Yeah.
you know. I established that a relationship with him,
Feels a
and
bit more like personal between
it
you
feels
and him
personal.
then.
Yeah. And
Hmm.
so, you know, just from that alone, I was like, okay, like when I surrender, if I say I surrender my all, that means everything that I do is going to, you know, circulate around you. Like, you know, I want him to
Yeah.
be the focal point to everything that I do. So,
Awesome.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, like, I mean, I mentioned it in the intro, but these two ventures companies, whatever you want to call it, that you have Christlike events and Spread the Kingdom Inc. Like,
Yeah.
what are the goals with these two companies, and what do they do? If you want to let people know.
Yeah. Okay, so Christ events, that's just there's not a lot of like Christian like events out here in Houston where, you know, we
Hmm.
can just go and fellowship at, right? Because this nightlife over here, you have a bunch of, you know, bars, lounges, clubs, whatever, but we don't have a lot of like places where we can all come together and just have fun, you know, play some
Yeah.
games. I don't know, whatever, like have a little fashion show. It's not a lot of that here, right? And so I want to throw just Christian like events where we can all come together, fellowship, talk about the Lord, have fun. And I want
Awesome.
it to be like a worldwide thing. Like I want to build a team, I want to travel here, I want to travel there. Like I want it to grow into that. And then with Spread the Kingdom, that is more focused on like the artists, the rappers, the poets, spoken words, people that are also like, Christian rappers,
Yeah.
whatever, like that, right? Just for them to have a platform to do like a live mic performance so that
Yeah,
they can,
that's awesome.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and it's so cool that you have the separate like you have, like you said, the connection to artists, rappers, whatever it is, and like putting a spotlight on them and highlighting them versus
Yeah.
just like cool, what it seems like cool, fun, like community events for people to like hang out, get together, meet people, which is awesome and definitely super important wherever you are.
Yeah, to network
And
for sure.
yeah, yeah, and so going forward, I mean, with the album, hopefully like a bunch of success coming from rhythm and flow. What level do you want to reach with your music, like going forward? Is it really focusing on the music? Is it trying to also build up these event platforms as well? Like what's the goal that you're really working towards?
The goal I'm working towards is to be on those charts, like to really display, my music, to just also build my businesses as well,
Yeah,
like I want those to flourish as well. So those are my two biggest things right now. Like I really want to start pushing those out. I already have the idea, the concept, did my business plan, for both. But yeah, I just
yeah, yeah.
I want
That's
to get on
awesome.
those charts, man. I gotta, do what I can to
Keep
to
working. That's what the album's for.
yeah,
And
yeah,
so like you mentioned Christ events being like the goal is take it worldwide, take it
yeah.
wherever, things like that. For Spread the Kingdom, what does the goal of that look like? Is it live mic performances that are like recorded and put online, or is it like
Yeah.
also holding events in per? Okay, it's more focused on
They go
the
hand in
online.
hand too. Yeah,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
I can have like
definitely.
a camera set up with a mic and they be at the event, you know?
Yeah, yeah,
They go hand in hand.
awesome. Yeah, that's amazing. And so for like a couple, I guess, like hypothetical questions to wrap
Okay.
things off, like, I mean, speaking of trying to hit those charts, if you could make a song with any artist in the world, who would you want to collaborate with?
Ooh, with any artist in the world. Man, that's a tough one. If you would have asked me this question when I was um when I
And you can,
started, I would say X, but
yeah,
now um
and you can have a bunch of answers also. Throw them all out there.
yeah, I would love to make a song with Caleb Gordon. He's another Christian artist. Kiaja Anike, which I'm
Hmm.
working with her right now on
Awesome.
making, and Lecrae. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
another great crew on top of the rhythm and flow crew we talked about earlier. That's another,
yeah.
like I could really like see you on songs with each of them, and so
Oh, and Missy Elliott for sure.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
Mizzy and
Tierra
Missy.
Whack. Yeah, Tierra Whack or Doechii.
Awesome. And in kind of a similar vein, but for like venues and live performances, because it seems like that's really what you want to get into, and you have some experience with that. Do you have a bucket list of like venues or festivals that you want to play?
I definitely want to perform at Rolling Loud.
Yeah, yeah,
That's number one for me. Yeah.
awesome.
Everything else, okay, cool. But Rolling Loud, like, yeah.
It's up here. It's the
It's
number
up there.
one.
Yeah, it's definitely number one.
Yeah, that's awesome. And either, I mean, there's kind of two questions, so you can answer both, or we can even separate it to the two. But is there a song of yours that's your favorite that you've made so far? And whether it's that one or any other one, like if someone wants to get into your music and wants to become more of a fan of you, what song would you recommend as like, this is what I make, this is who I am, type of thing?
That's good. Um, well, I rebranded to being a Christian rapper now. So the only song I
Hmm.
really have out now is We Up
Yeah.
currently. So I mean, I would just push them in that direction because that's the type of
We
material
Up, the
I'm making.
latest song
Yeah,
available
and it's
now
it's yeah,
everywhere, I'm guessing.
everywhere. Yes,
Everywhere, yeah.
everywhere. Yeah.
Awesome, awesome. And I mean, I'll leave a link to that down below, probably Christ events and everything too. But
Okay.
for the last couple questions, like, I mean, we kind of got into it. I'm trying to think of a good, like, real wrap up question. I normally ask, like, what's coming up next, but we got into that. We got it into the album, everything. I'll say this for Christ events, spread the kingdom, and like your music, Mizzy. If one of them you got the chance to like really take off overnight, or be like the next big thing, which one of those would be the most meaningful for you to like succeed with?
Well, my music for sure.
Okay.
My music for sure. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think like a lot of artists, that's probably, I mean, it will probably just become like a launching off point. Like if people like you, your music, they're gonna find out about the events, all these other things that you're involved
Right.
in. So yeah, awesome. Well, I mean, thank you so much for coming on. It was
Yeah.
a bit shorter than I expected, but I had a great time. I really enjoyed learning about like your music, and also, I mean, just went into being on a Netflix show, really.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
thank you so much for coming on. And I mean, for anyone listening, like, feel free to shout or promote anything you got going on.
Okay. Um, Man, let's see. If you would like to book me features, my email is Mizzy, MIZZYDFP at gmail.com. And yeah, just stay tuned, stay on the journey, and I'm excited to show y'all what I got. That's it.
Yeah, yeah, definitely stay tuned for Missy. I think album especially, but just like I can tell that you got some big things coming up, and I'm excited to see where you go from here. I think
Character
Rhythm and
wise,
Flow.
for sure. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. I
yeah.
think Rhythm and Flow, as huge as like a Netflix show is, I think Netflix wasn't the peak. It was the starting point, the launching off point for all
Yeah.
these other things you're gonna do. So yeah, thank you so much again for coming on, and I'll leave a link to some of those things down below.
Okay.